Our last speaker for this session is Todd Ross, Managing Director for Nordic Nickel, the newest nickel sulphide company on the ASX with an IPO of 12 million, world-class assets in the central Lapland belt in Finland. Please welcome Todd.
Thanks, Abby. Stole my thunder. I was going to talk about being the newest listed nickel sulphide explorer in the hall, but anyway, we'll move on from that. Thanks again, everyone, for your attendance today. Thanks, Reed Corporate, obviously, for putting on a fantastic event. It's fantastic to be part of this. In an esteemed company, obviously a lot of companies that have been up here and presenting for a number of years. I'm very much hopeful that you'll see Nordic Nickel in the years to come as well. We're focused on nickel sulphide exploration, in particular in Finland. We believe, as we've all heard today, there's a huge potential in the nickel sulphide space. Class 1 nickel is in extremely high demand and will continue to be so for a long period of time. Europe is set to become the second largest battery manufacturing hub outside of China. And apart from recent events, Europe has already undertaken a path to really try and secure supply for nickel sulphides in the region and are looking to really build up that capability. So we think we're very well placed. Finland is a good jurisdiction to operate in. It's got a long mining history. It's got a strong regulatory regime and very supportive of new investment in the country. We're operating in the central Lapland Greenstone belt, which I'll get into in a bit more detail in a second. And we've got over 425 square kilometres in that region. So the central Lapland Greenstone belt, it's one of the most active geological settings in the world for nickel sulphides. It's been the focus of much of nickel exploration in Finland over the last 10 years. But fair to say, most of the exploration recently, there hasn't been a lot other than there's been some world-class discoveries taking place in central Lapland, but before that, all the exploration was undertaken by state-owned company, Finnish company Outokumpu. There's been some major discoveries, both the Kevitsa 7.4 million ounce gold mine, which is located in the same municipality as where Nordic Nickel are based. There's also been the Kevitsa nickel copper gold project, which is owned by Boliden, and then the world-class discovery of 44 million tonne Sakatti high-grade copper nickel PGE project that's owned by Anglo American. Of course, the geology for the central Lapland Greenstone belt doesn't end at the border. It continues on into Russia, where there's been a number of nickel copper discoveries and operating mines in that region as well. Our projects, we have two projects. Our flagship project is the Pulu project, which is 100% owned, which is a vast nickel-rich system. There's been previous drilling undertaken by Outokumpu back in the 80s and 90s in that area, and we know through re-logging and re-assaying that core that there's both disseminated nickel and also also some large massive sulphide intersections as well. We believe the area is highly prospective and all the drilling that was undertaken previously was only shallow. We also have an earn-in right over the Menenkioki 3 project, which is located to the south of our project in the Lapland Greenstone belt. That project is also in close proximity to Sakatti and also the Kevitsa mine as well. Ideally, what we're focused on is both near-surface disseminated nickel, which is the Kevitsa style ore bodies, as well as the Sakatti discovery. Sakatti really was a game changer for central Lapland, which I'll get onto in a minute. We've assembled a experienced and dedicated team at Nordic Nickel, headed up by our chairman, Marcello Cadesi. He's a corporate lawyer, previously partner at Gilbert & Tobin, over 25 years experience assisting junior mining companies with their capital raisings and M&A. Myself, former banker, 20-odd years experience banking and project financing junior to mid-tier mining companies, a lot of experience in assessing risk and understanding what projects work and what don't. Hopefully I can take that to the Nordic Nickel team. Rob Rickson, he's head of Starboard Global's private equity business out of Hong Kong. Very strong track record in incubating projects and then taking them to market. He's had a lot of success in recent years and was instrumental in putting together this asset package together. We also have on the board Juho Haverinen. He's the head of exploration for our partner in country, Magnus Minerals, but he's also our technical director and has an extensive and very strong career in the central Lapland Greenstone belt. Rounding out the management team, our CFO, Aaron Bertolatti. Being an ASX-listed company with our headquarters in Perth, we recognise the need to have strong partnerships in country. We also recognised earlier on that getting a drill rig in Finland is just as challenging as it is in Australia, so we were able to enter into a transaction to secure the exclusive rights of a brand new drill rig, which is now in Finland with our partner Caddy Drilling. Caddy are one of the largest drilling contractors in Finland, and in fact were the company that was operating for Outokumpu back in the 80s and 90s to do the drilling at our Hottenvara licence in central Lapland as well. Magnus Minerals, as I mentioned, Juho Haverinen is the head of exploration for Magnus Minerals. They are also Finland's largest geological consultancy company, our major shareholder in Nordic Nickel, and will be providing ongoing geological consultancy to Nordic Nickel on the project as well. So why Europe? Well, as I mentioned, Europe is set to become the second largest hub for battery cell manufacturing outside of China. There's over 1,000 gigawatt hours per annum capacity of new plants going in and will be constructed by 2030. In addition, and very importantly, Finland and Norway host the entirety of the smelting and refining capacity for all nickel products in Europe. So I think that puts us very well in a good position to be able to deliver to market when we develop the projects. In addition, Finland is, as a country, incentivising investment. They have a long mining history, as I mentioned, Outokumpu back in the day. They've also unveiled, and one of the first countries in the world to unveil a national battery strategy, which they unveiled last year. They have, Finland also has 2 globally significant nickel projects, and all the prospective geology, downstream processing, strong mining law and jurisdiction to operate in, and certainly encouraging investment in the country. So we think we're in a good place to operate as well. What gets us most excited though is our Pulu project. Pulu is our flagship project. We have a district scale land package, around 395 square kilometres on Pulu. There were 51 holes, as I mentioned, drilled by Outokumpu in our granted exploration licence called Hottenvara, and that was back in the 80s and 90s. Last year we were able to access that drill core. The Finnish do it really well. There's a lot of records and a lot of information, and all that drill core was well preserved, and we were able to get in there and re-log and re-assay all that drill core. What we're able to do was confirm, again, both near surface disseminated nickel with some very wide intersections, 100 metres plus, of 0.25 to 0.27% nickel, but also interspersed in that drill core was some very high grades, massive sulphide intersections as well. Essentially, the area that hasn't had a lot of modern geophysics applied, and we think that will be critical in unlocking the potential in this region. We believe that there's potential for a Sakatti-style analogue, again, the very large 44 million tonne project that was discovered by Anglo American several years ago. In terms of the geology, we know that the nickel occurrences in central Lapland are typically associated with ultramafic rocks. If you look at this map here on the right, this has overlaid our exploration boundaries. The green and the olive green areas are the mafic and ultramafic rocks sequence. Our tenement areas and exploration reservation areas are all over that ground. We believe there's lots of potential. In the very middle of that map, I don't have a pointer, I don't think. In the very middle of the map, if you can see it, there's a green outline. That is our Hottenvara licence. and that's where the 51 holes were drilled previously. In addition to the lithology in the region, we also know that nickel occurrences are coincident and associated with the magnetic highs, overlaying again our exploration boundaries over magnetics that were magnetic maps of the region. You can see the magnetic highs very much around the eastern boundary of our exploration licence area. And what that points to is it's around 25 kilometres of continuous perspective strike that we'll be focused on. Initially, again, just focused on the Hottenvara licence in the bottom corner of the map there. Just to put up some drill results, and I thought I'd be able to read that, but my eyesight's not that good either, unfortunately. But we've relogged and remapped all of that core. From memory, there's some pretty large wide intersections around 100 metres, 120 metres, in some instances of around 0.25 to 0.27% nickel. Wide disseminated nickel in lots of areas throughout the exploration licence. In addition, though, and something we weren't entirely sure was there, but we've been able to detect that there's some very large, massive sulphide intersections. We're talking sort of up to close to 1 metre at 5% nickel sulphide as well. We'll be able to, based on the previous exploration results, we'll be able to put out a JORC compliant resource estimation within the first few months of being listed, which is a good start for a junior. Drilling down a bit more into the Hottenvara licence, again, this is our main focus at the moment. We know that the nickel occurrences that Outokumpu were following previously was focused on open pittable near surface disseminated nickel, and they were really chasing the gravity lows which were picked up on the gravity surveys. On this map, we can see that the blue channel where the accumulation of drills intersections were. If we believe that there's a very strong potential to be able to expand that near surface resource by drilling out that gravity low channel at surface. Additionally, the magnetics over that area are certainly very prospective, typically associated with high nickel sulphide intersections as well. We put out in our prospectus a conceptual exploration target. This is again based on the Hottenvara drill results and relogging and reassaying that drill core. This is across the entire Hottenvara licence area, and it's around 150 to 180 million tonnes, 0.22 to 0.27% nickel. This is our starting point. We'll be putting out a resource that will be somewhat less than that over the next few months, but it's really focused on this near surface mineralisation that we have to date. The cross section you can see to the right there, we can see on the red histograms on those drill results, we're clearly seeing nickel mineralisation throughout the belt, and many of the holes were all ending in mineralisation as well. What's got us really excited in the last couple of minutes as well to talk about is our geophysics. As I mentioned, Sakatti was discovered using geophysics. We've been able to identify that 15 of the previous 51 holes were still open, and late last year we were able to get in there and undertake initial downhole EM on 3 of the holes in Hottenvara. What was really exciting, in the middle of the page you can see the area circled there. That was a conductor that was picked up at about 200 metres of depth, and it sits in front of hole 40, which is the deepest hole, but also intersects where we had the largest high-grade nickel intersection in 1 metre at 5%. Got everyone pretty excited, but then we also picked up some large conductors below that, sitting around 200 metres of depth. We'll be able to undertake further geophysics on that area over the next little while from Q3 this year. What got us really excited though, once we stepped back from that, we did a fixed loop EM over the Hottenvara licence, and you can see that blue plate that was on the previous slides, this one there. We step over now into the fixed loop EM results, and that was confirmed with the fixed loop EM. Again, geophysics is going to be an important tool for us, and we're able to see that that blue plate was reconfirmed around the 400 metre mark, but we've then detected several much larger plates sitting below that at around the depth of where Sakatti was discovered as well, around the 600 to 900 metres. Big part of the program for this year is undertaking further geophysics. Just to give you an idea, the drilling that was undertaken at Hottenvara overlaid against the Sakati deposit. Again, Sakati around 600 to 900 metres. Our drill holes have only been around 200 to 300 metres historically. So what are we doing? We're targeting bonanza massive sulphides. We believe there's the potential to uncover a Sakati-style resource in the central Lapland Greenstone belt. It's like rocking up in Cambodia in the 70s. There's been a lot of exploration, a couple of major discoveries, but no main modern exploration using geophysics, and we think there's lots of potential and upside there. We also have the ability to expand the near-surface mineralisation, Kavitsa-style near-surface disseminated nickel, and our plan will be to undertake the geophysics this year. We'll get a drill rig in site in December, January, and that will be left there for 14 months continuous drilling. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Todd. That concludes our session 3 presenters. If we could just give them one round of applause. Afternoon tea would